Last Shift, written and directed by Anthony DiBlasi, and it stars Juliana Harkavy as Officer Jessica Lauren. The movie is classified as a psychological horror film. Now, we start the movie off on the first shift of Rookie Officer Lauren, and her first shift is basically to babysit the last shift of a broken down police station. So that's why the movie's called Last Shift. It's not a spoiler. So, people that would watch it and say, okay, it's called Last Shift, so she's definitely going to die. No, that's not the case. So as she's driving to the police station to start off her shift, where she actually gets there, her mother is calling her to plead with her not to take the shift, and not even to take the job for that matter, but she did. A lot of officers do not take her seriously because she used to be a model, and the reason why she became a cop was because her dad was a police officer and he died in the line of duty. So this was her way of honoring him in a way. She begins her shift pretty much kind of bored out of her mind because she's just babysitting a big building with nobody in it. So here's where the interesting part of the movie starts to boil up, because you're in an enclosed area, and you know where I'm going with this if you see my other reviews about claustrophobic movies. They're just great. There's something about claustrophobic movies when you have an actor by themselves in one setting, one location, and you could stretch the barriers of the story in just that one location, which makes for a great director and or a great writer. Now, as she goes through the night, she starts to hear noises here and there, the usual horror movie cliche. First you start with the little ding noises, then you start with the little bang noises, and next thing you know, something tends to reveal itself. But in this case, in this movie, you're trying to decide whatever's happening is either in her head or actually happening to her, or a combination of both, so to speak. In this movie also, I think for a first time in any horror movie, they actually changed the aspect ratio. Like whenever something of a significant sequence happens, they take it off. That's a little kind of I can appreciate it for the technicality of it and the atmosphere it puts you in as soon as the aspect ratios change. But it kind of warns you that something's coming. So it's a bittersweet type deal with that one. But it is cool nonetheless, because when you widen out the screen, you create a bigger space for anything to happen, for anything pretty much to jump at you, depending on how big your screen is. So when she goes to investigate certain sounds and realizes that a lot of things afoot, she thinks it's centered around the evidence that's still in the building. The only reason why the building is still open is because there's still evidence in the evidence locker that needs to be guarded until certain individuals come in and remove it. Only people with hazmat suits are allowed to take the evidence out of the evidence locker. So she has to guard it the whole night until they could come in the morning and take it. So that just brings about the suspicion that whoever she thinks is fooling around in the building or trying to get into the building, they're after the evidence. That's not the case. Well, it could be the case, but you try to decide when you watch it. Now, this movie gives a whole new definition of psychological thriller because, like I said, you have no idea if what's happening is actually happening or it's in her head or a combination of both. But this movie really centers around the lesson on self-guilt or someone else's guilt passing on to you, if that makes any sense whatsoever, because when you watch the movie it becomes apparent that either you're getting punished for someone else's misdeeds or you're getting punished for your own. Either way, you're getting punished. So that's what makes the movie a little extra creepy. I love the lighting, I love the colors, I love the surprises, and just keep this in mind. I'm going to give you just a little speck of a spoiler. She only talks to one actual person the whole night. Just keep that in your head, and it'll creep you out as you're watching some parts. Now, for this movie, fanboy grade, I give it a B+. I love claustrophobic movies, but if you're making it of a horror sense, you have to try to incorporate at least one or two more characters. Give us their backstory, give us a reason to like them, and then remove them from the movie. Like, just, rip them out in a way, like anything could happen to anyone at any given time. Justice grade for this movie is an A minus. Definitely for sure. Formula wise, as a horror movie, it works. It works. Is in a claustrophobic area. Camera angles even go as far down as the floor, and especially the aspect ratio changes. So that is key for the director trying to deliver us a very unique horror movie by just putting so much technical like things into it. Aspect ratio shifts, the lighting changes, but the lighting doesn't change. Like if you say, okay, yeah, he's saying lighting changes, I don't mean that it goes dark when something's happening and then the light comes back on. I mean lighting differentials, and you'll see when you watch the movie. Formula wise, the movie works, and they should make horror movies a lot more like this. But yeah, as for the fanboy side, I would have liked just a little bit more when it came to not the gory side, but adding some more substance into it as far as characters, and then seeing how much we liked them and how much we're invested in the movie when you just go and pull something out. Well, that's my review on The Last Shift, or Last Shift. Hope you guys like it, and hope you guys come back for more. Until then, stay enthusiastic.